Your entire connection to the bike, all that power and control, it all comes down to two tiny little points right under your feet. If you get them right, you unlock a ton of power and comfort. But if you get them wrong, well, you could be heading for a world of pain. So today, we're diving into the critical alignment of your cleats and pedals. And I have to ask you this right off the bat. Are your cleats holding you back? It's a serious question. I mean, you spent the money on the bike, you put in the hours training, but what if the very thing that's supposed to connect you to your machine is actually stopping you from hitting your potential? Or even worse, what if it's setting you up for an injury? And look, this isn't just about trying to find a few more watts. This is about protecting your body for the long haul. The source material we're looking at puts it really bluntly. Getting this wrong is a leading cause of knee, hip, and ankle injuries for people who ride bikes. It's a big deal. Okay, before we go one step further, we have to be absolutely crystal clear about something. What we're about to go over is purely for educational purposes. The whole idea is to make you a smarter, more informed cyclist. So with all this tweaking and adjusting, what's the actual goal here? It's surprisingly simple, really. The whole point is just to let your foot rest in its most natural, neutral position on top of the pedal. And to do that, the very first thing we need to wrap our heads around is a little something called float. So what is float? Don't think of it as your foot being loose or wobbly. It's not that. It's about giving your foot just a little bit of freedom, a small, natural amount of rotation while you're clipped in. It's basically the wiggle room your ankle and your knee need to move smoothly through the entire pedal stroke. And what's really cool is how there are different options for different riders. You've got high float, which gives you about 9 degrees of rotation. This is a fantastic safety net if you're a new rider or maybe if you have some old injuries or limited flexibility. Then there's moderate float, around 4 or 5 degrees, and that's the sweet spot for most of us road cyclists. And then there's zero float. This locks your foot in one position. This is a super specialized tool, and honestly, it's something that should only be used by elite riders under the watchful eye of an expert. So what's the big takeaway here? It's this. For almost everybody listening, having some float in your system is way safer and way more comfortable than having no float. It just respects the natural way your body wants to move. All right, so before you even think about picking up a hex wrench, you've got to understand your own body. Your feet have a natural angle they want to be at, and your cleat setup has to respect that. Think of it as your body's personal blueprint. So how do you figure out what your personal blueprint is? Well, it's super simple. Just stand up, relax, and look down at your feet. For some of you, you might notice your toes point just a little bit inward. We call that toe in. Or you might find that your feet are perfectly straight, pointing right ahead. This often has to do with your own unique hip structure and how flexible you are. And for a lot of people, their feet point just a little bit outwards or toe out. Now, here's the most critical part. None of these is wrong. They're all normal. The only mistake you can make is trying to force your foot into an angle that isn't its own. Your cleat has to match your body, not fight it. Okay, so let's get practical. We're about to walk through a basic 5-step method. But remember what we said earlier. This is to help you understand the principles of a good setup, not to replace a pro fitting. Got it? Let's go. All right, so let's break down the basic principles. Step 1, you've got to find your power point. You do this by feeling for the bony knuckle at the base of your big toe. That's the ball of your foot, and putting a little mark on the outside of your shoe right there. Step 2, go ahead and attach the cleats to your shoe, but keep them just loose enough that you can still nudge them around. Step 3 is the big one, the main alignment. Get on your bike, put your crank horizontal at that 3 o'clock position, and you want that little mark on your shoe to be lined up directly over the center of the pedal axle. Now, step 4 is so important. Do that whole process again for your other foot. Our bodies are almost never perfectly symmetrical. And finally, step 5. Once you think you've got it, tighten down those bolts and do a short, easy test ride, preferably on an indoor trainer, just to feel it out. So when you're on that test ride, what are you even looking for? Honestly, the perfect setup should feel like nothing. You shouldn't feel your foot being pushed or pulled or twisted in any direction. It should just feel completely neutral and natural. We're almost at the finish line, but hang on, because this last part is arguably the most important. Making adjustments is one thing, but knowing what to watch out for afterward is absolutely critical for your safety and your long-term comfort. Please burn these points into your memory. First, make tiny, tiny changes. Even moving a cleat 1 millimeter can have a huge effect down the line. Second, If you feel any new pain in your knee, your hip, your ankle, anywhere, stop right away and go back to your old setup. And finally, if you have a coach, always let them know you've been messing with your fit. They might need to adjust your training load while your body gets used to the new position. So why go through all this hassle? Because the payoff for getting this right is enormous. We're talking about more comfort on those really long rides, better power transfer every single time you push down on the pedal, and maybe most importantly, protecting your joints so you can have a lifetime of healthy, happy cycling. And all of this brings us to the single most important rule of all. If you are ever in doubt, if you feel a pain that you just can't figure out, or if you just want that peace of mind that comes from a perfect setup, the answer is always simple. Go see a professional bike fitter. It's worth it. So, we'll leave you with this one last question to chew on. Take a second and really think about your own setup. Is it truly working for you, unlocking all that power you've worked so hard for? Or could a tiny misalignment you can't even feel be quietly paving the way for an injury? It's something worth thinking about. If you found this clip useful, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel.